Okay, welcome back to the Skill Economy. This is a podcast about closing the gap between what school and university teach and what the real world actually expects. Because here's the truth, you did everything right, you worked hard in school, you got into university, you followed the playbook, so why does it still feel like you're not ready? In today's episode, we have Luke Stone, InternOutreach, joining us. And unlike other guests, Luke's not started his career yet, but he's learned some career-defining strategies that you can implement yourself. Though missing traditional internship deadlines, Luke went on to secure over 10 internship offers in his first year. And today we're going to dive into a bit of that strategy, Luke's thoughts about going against the norm, and understand the skills that got him here. Luke, how is your day going?
I'm well, early, but I'm looking forward to the episode and really grateful to be on it. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, this is early for you. I mean, it's what time? 10 a.m. in the UK?
Nine. Nine.
9. There we go.
Yeah.
And I mean, what does a typical day for you look like at the moment? Because I imagine you're balancing uni, internship, outreach still. I mean, what does it look like?
Yeah. So I try and get up quite early because I find the quiet in the morning is good. So get up around 6 and I've been trying cold showers. I used to do them a while ago. And I know it's like the classic self-improvement, mindset online, whatever. But no, it's been good. You get a clear head, get to work, and then working in the morning and then have something to eat, go to the gym and just try and focus without a phone for the first few hours of the day. I find that's really, really good.
I think that's a big thing. Sounds like you're on the right track there. And ice plunge is, I'm sure it's a pretty cold way to start. I mean, it's not a full-on ice plunge, right? It's just a cold shower.
Just a cold shower, yeah.
Okay, still does it. I mean, gosh, man, not fun. But that sounds cool. And so, I mean, look, one of the main things I wanted to get onto today, Luke, is when I first found out about you. It's for a friend of ours, Josh Robinson. We were both on the same podcast, and the first thing I did was go and check out Luke's social media, and I was immediately just impressed by like how much you'd grown on mostly LinkedIn. I was impressed by because this is a platform that traditionally young people struggle to tap into, and so you seem to have gone through like a pretty good growth trajectory there quite early on. I mean, what do you feel like happened there? What got you posting on there?
Yeah, it has been fun. It has been fun on LinkedIn. I've been posting on Instagram and TikTok since April of 2025. And I guess that was more accessible because I already had a follow. I had already had people on Instagram. So I was just like, let me just do it. Get over the fear of people thinking you're an idiot and just do it. And I got some traction on there talking about things. And I was like, well, why not just do it on LinkedIn as well? Make it written. So I took some of my best performing short form content and just gave it to ChatGPT and was like, right, this is a viral LinkedIn post. And that worked for like the first 6 posts or so. They all did really good numbers. And I had done things that would do well on LinkedIn, like getting internships. That's what everyone's talking about, experience, reaching out. And then kind of just noticing things that I saw on LinkedIn and making commentary about them and just keeping it going. It's been quite fun because it is a very different platform and you get spotted by people that offer you interviews that have positions of power more so than just on Instagram or TikTok. So
Definitely. And something you said there about getting through that fear almost of
mm,
getting started on social media. Did you deal with that much when you got started?
yeah, for sure. I had about 600 followers on Instagram on my account before I posted, and I lost probably about 100 on that first post because I think people just realised like, who is this guy? Like, I didn't follow them back, and they were just like, "What are you doing?" So I I got over that, and I think I was like shaking. I was like really afraid to post the first video, so I posted it like threw my phone away, went and like made a sandwich, and then just forgot about it or something. And I came back, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I had some comments from friends like leaving funny gifts and things, but yeah, I think it's really helpful to get over that and just not be afraid of what people think about you because they're never further ahead than you, and it doesn't really matter, right?
Do you feel like breaking through that fear? Because I think a lot of times when you break through a fear like that, which is a pretty big one, like posting on social media, a lot of the times you got old school friends on there who you haven't spoke to in a few months and you're worried about them judging you. Do you feel like that snowballed and just kind of added on to your just general persona, like helped you grow in confidence and helped you
Yeah,
go on
for
to do
sure.
further things?
Yeah, because if you can do that, you can do that and post videos that most people are afraid to do, then sending a cold email, for example, like making cold calls, going in person to a company, sending a cold email, going up to someone you think is attractive and introducing yourself, all of that is just like you've got more behind you and you've got more, as I know you like to talk about, proof. You've got the proof that you can do things and you have the energy and you just kind of carry that with you into everything you do.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. It's proof. And LinkedIn, as you've spoken about, is a great place for proof, just like your journey of, starting to get internships and then posting stuff on there. Um, I mean, how do you think every student should be on LinkedIn posting actively? Like, what do you think about it?
Mm. It's a tricky one because some people say you need to wait until you've done things worth posting about to post. Other people say, build in public, but then a lot of people aren't building. So then if you're not building anything, then there's even less to post about. So I think maybe once a month, if you do something worth sharing, like you go to an event or you meet someone or you learn a new thing. Um, but I don't think you should post for the sake of it. You should try and like have some kind of goal and have something worth sharing.
Did you build in public with what you did, or you just posted when you felt like
Mm.
sharing? What was your strategy?
I suppose I posted things that I was doing, but with people that I've seen of like documenting building a startup, it hasn't really been like that. I guess I might like take lessons I've learned and just record it as a video, but maybe don't explicitly say this is from then. I say.
Cool. I mean, it's awesome. And then what are some of the connections and chances that you've had through like getting a bit of a following on there and continuing to share?
Yeah, so someone on Instagram reached out after seeing my going in person video, which went pretty viral, went in person to firms, and a C-suite of a 20 billion euro private equity firm DM'd me and like offered a call on LinkedIn. And we had a call that was like an hour. That was super interesting. I should probably get back in touch with her, but she just gave me so much stuff that I wouldn't even consider about like how to do public speaking, putting together a 5 slide deck about who you are as a speaker, and just getting around people that are doing really interesting things and giving career life advice. Really, really interesting.
Did she share sort of any key skills that you think you should be focusing on as a young person?
I think it was quite a while ago, the conversation, but problem solving, and I think she was saying you need to again be have skills, be the person that can help the organization, and communication was a big one as well. I think she just said you need to be able to communicate, get your ideas across, and then that'll take you far.
Great. Communicate, get your ideas across. That'll take you far. I think there's a lot of power in that get your ideas across message, being as ultimately that's what you end up training when you get on something like LinkedIn. It's like how
Mm.
powerfully and concisely can you share your ideas? Do you have a writing strategy that helps your post go viral, or is it an AI bot? I mean, what thought goes into it for you?
Yeah. So as I said, my first few posts were just I I've sometimes used either a teleprompter or my really early videos. I don't do that anymore because I like the practice of communicating because I feel like a teleprompter kind of butchers that. But the like screenshotting my captions and giving it to ChatGPT and saying like write me a script or write me a viral LinkedIn post based on this script. And then that worked, then I'd almost like recycle them or analyze why those posts did well. And then about like the hook, being engaging, giving people value with like 3 tips. And I actually had a conversation with a LinkedIn agency guy that like does B2B LinkedIn um, inbound, outbound scaling for businesses. And he was like saying to me, like, what are you doing? Like, you're getting crazy numbers, but you're not monetizing it. And I think he was making posts that like got loads of CTAs and call to actions and lead magnets, and I haven't really done much of that because I feel like it'd be a bit disgenuine, and a lot of people can't even buy from me anyway because, as I said, lots of students can't afford it. So it'd be kind of strange. And I think, as I said, I was building up goodwill. But then he was like, "Well, how much money have you made from that goodwill?" And I'm like, "Well, not much yet." So I've been kind of thinking about how I can reach out to people in DMs that are high signal, and I think there's a lot to be used there. But writing posts is AI, and just thinking about what works, what I've seen work.
Do you have posts that like something you hear a lot about on this journey that people go on to posting a lot and getting traction to social media, even cold emails, for instance? I feel like it's seeded with a lot of rejection. That's almost one of the core premises around it. Rejection, but also just low performing stuff, like an email that doesn't work or a post that doesn't go to plan. Do you have a lot of that, and how do you deal with almost a bit of embarrassment from that you get sometimes, but how do you
Mm.
work around that and work through it?
Yeah, I would say you have to take yourself away from the what you see, the numbers you see. You might make a video that doesn't do well, and you've got to think, well, why didn't it do well? Is there anything I can learn from that, or is it just one of those things that happened? And whether it's with internship applications as well, that the hundreds of applications that people can make, they can kind of just get in the motion of making the application, and then it's like, well, take a look at your strategy. Are you going up the wrong tree? It's like insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And I think it probably takes a moment to step away and think, well, what am I actually doing? And is this even what I want to be doing?
There's a lot of parallels, I suppose, as well with getting an internship and actually landing your first grad job when you graduate, right? It's a similar process, seeded with rejection, a lot of like trying different things out because certain things don't work. From people that you've worked with and things that you've seen, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see people making, whether it's with their CV or with outreach they're doing or their strategy in general? What's going wrong?
Yeah. The easiest thing to fix is silly formatting errors. It's stupid, but like before you even think about your experience, like whatever you do have, are you spelling words correctly? Are you using full stops at the end of every bullet point if you're using them at all? Like that, it seems so simple, but at least every CV I've looked at almost always has at least one formatting error. So just like that's such an easy thing to fix. And beyond something as simple as that, beyond just formatting, it's like people often don't know how to get that first experience. They're like, well, I need experience to get this position. And it's like, well, how do I get that? People just think that you just do endless online courses. And I think an online course that gives you a certificate can be good, but for a very competitive application process, an online course isn't going to cut it. You'll need some other real internship where you've done actual work and you've got someone that can vouch for you and even give you a recommendation or referral. And getting that either through cold outreach, people need to explore the opportunities that you can create your own opportunities through reaching out to smaller companies, and just people don't do that or they can't be asked.
The thing that I'd wonder though, and you'll be able to talk to this, like I would guess cold outreach is just one part of the strategy, right? Because someone could have they could have the perfect cold outreach template, but what if they then hop on a call and they don't know how to present themselves?
Yeah,
Well,
for
like,
sure.
what happens in that circumstance? So I guess your advice to students is figure out a way to get experience somehow that helps you get reps of this stuff and helps you build the confidence, and then you can tailor other strategies. I mean, when you mention about people worrying about experience, what's your advice to people out there that don't have anything and they're just at square one?
Yeah, so when I was at Square One in year 12, you might remember this, you might have done this, you had to get a week's work experience either in school at some point, yeah. And I literally cold called engineering firms off Google Maps. And I got lucky. The first one I called was interested, and I did ring some others, so I had some backup. But I just rang them, Like, I just rang the reception, the number that was on Google Maps. I didn't have a script. So I just kind of fumbled, was like, hey, I'm looking for some work experience. They were like, oh, excellent. Send an email to this address. We got on a phone call and they were like, yeah, just come in for a week. So that was like surprisingly easy. But even just like that, obviously didn't go down engineering later on, but it gave me things to talk about. It made me realize, oh, I can do the same again for accounting in year 13. You can just cold call companies. Like, it sounds like technical cold calling or any scripts, but when you're just starting, just ring them, even if you don't say anything and you hang up immediately. Just get over that hurdle of like taking action, and you'll be surprised how easy it is to just get something which you can then talk about in an interview or a CV or a cover letter.
It takes a lot of agency though, right? I don't know anyone in year
Mm.
12 that was cold calling, unless maybe they're doing it in secret. I mean, were you doing this stuff in secret or were you telling people about it at that time?
I left it way too late. Year 12 was a really not very productive time for me. And I needed something for that week because otherwise I would have just been in school, which would have been worse. So I just rang every firm on Google Maps in London. And I don't even know why I thought to do that. I don't know where that came from. But that really started the seed of the whole like cold outreach, what I did. Because then I did it again in year 13. So yeah.
Yeah, and it works, I guess. I mean, it's crazy that really that's a low barrier to entry, right? Like if you told someone that all they had to do was cold call and they'd be able to pick up an
Mm.
internship. Um, but it must be harder than that, right? Like, is this now a more known strategy that a lot of people are doing and employers are fed up of hearing it? Or what do you think's happening now? Where does it go?
You'd be surprised. A lot of people watch the videos and don't do anything. And the people that do it for certain industries and reach out to certain people. So these companies get so many emails, these people get so many emails that you're not ever important enough for them to remember. And unless 100 people email the same company with the exact same script, it's it's just probably a coping mechanism. People saying, "Oh, they've already get too many emails." It's like, no, they don't. They really don't. And if they do go in person, which is what I'm going to be doing in the future, because that's the thing. I think cold emailing is secondary to actually going in person, which I think is the next level of agency.
Talk to us about that. So you went out in person. What's the story? How many CVs did you hand out? What are the good things? What are the bad things from it? What did you learn?
Yeah, it was just really fun. I printed off way too many, and I underestimated how long it would take me to walk around. So I only got to like five or six. But again, the adrenaline of walking into the front door and speaking to the receptionist, and then just introducing yourself, and they're like, they've never had this before. But you never go for the internship on the spot. It's always to make an introduction and then get the receptionist's name. So you can then follow up in an email instead. I had a lovely conversation with Rachel, who they obviously know. And then it's a warmer connection. You're no longer just like a random email. And so it's just quite fun as well. It's like a bit of an adrenaline rush. So I wanted to do it. And it made a good video as well. So,
Yeah, I guess that it makes a good video. And I think it relates as well tightly to your cold shower in the morning. You know, a quick adrenaline rush. Maybe you're like living off this stuff now, Luke. But I mean, it takes quite a lot to do this sort of stuff anyway, because it's so against the norm, right? Like you were doing this in first year, I think, and also cold calling in secondary school still. And it's very different to what a lot of students are doing, right? Like the norm is they're just going out on their weekends and then they're hungover the next
oh
day
yeah.
whilst you're in London handing out CVs. So how do you step away from just resorting to the average?
Yeah, that's a good question. And again, coming back to year 12, in year 12, I was doing unproductive, using different substances, and it wasn't very helpful. And then towards the end of that period, coming into year 13, I realized that I needed to get my act together. Otherwise, I'd end up working in Sainsbury's for the rest of my life, which terrified me. So I got my act together, I got into uni, and then I kind of looked around everyone. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Everyone reminded me of where I was 2 years ago, and it's like I've already got past this. Like, you're still doing this. What? Like, come on, we're grown up now. So I stopped doing that. I didn't really go out much. I kind of did my outreach, did my studying, and then things just kept getting better. Kept being in the gym. I was like, why would I stop now? It's like things are going really well. Got the social media page, doing the outreach, building the experience in the gym. It's like, why would I want to trade that for going out? So yeah, it's quite easy to maintain, really.
No, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. And do you have a friend group? You know, a lot of the time people talk about this concept of if you're surrounded by people who are doing that sort of thing, you know, you'll become the average of them or vice versa. Do you
Mm.
have friends do like, are your friends all just cold outreaching as well? Or your friends are
No,
more
not
like the
really.
traditional students?
I've got a few friends. I don't have a massive circle, and I think I can see things in different people, and they've got certain aspects of their personality which I really enjoy, and other parts which I don't like as much. But then I think we just kind of complement each other, and the time we do spend, we enjoy. And I think it's important to avoid people that bring you down, because as I said, yeah, come the average of the five, and so if that's in a negative place, then that's quite damaging. But then if it was in a really good place, but I haven't found as many people in person like that yet. But I think the online stuff is super valuable for that. Meeting people like you, people like Josh that are going after things. I think that is really valuable.
So if you had to, just from the conversation so far, summarize like, I don't know, two or three major skills that you feel like you were able to develop during this time that helped you go on this journey thus far, what would they be? What would you point towards?
Yeah, I'd say having a ability to go after something, being willing to put in the time to achieve an outcome. A lot of people say they want the internship, but they aren't willing to do the work. So having the grit and tenacity to go after something is super important. And also not being afraid to fail. So you will suck. My first videos are awful. My first emails were terrible. Um, but you learn. You take what you did and you learn and you take that forward. So really having the grit to keep going through that failure and being comfortable failing is the most important thing because then eventually you will just get better. It just takes a bit of time.
And you've done a couple internships now. How many internships have you done at different companies?
Yeah, so I did, you could say four, although a lot of them, three of them were remote. One was based in Dubai, two were based in America, and they were helpful. Gave me an insight into like the deal process of running an M&A process, doing outreach, putting together buyer lists, and yeah, I thought they'd be helpful for these internships, but seemingly they're not enough, which is a bit sad, really. But I guess I made a video yesterday talking about how I thought if I just got one more internship, then it'd be enough. I got one more opportunity, but it seems like they're looking for other things which I don't quite have the top name ones. So I think it's been useful. And I would have just been really bored over the summer if I hadn't done anything. So just having something to do and get on with was really good.
And from operating with like, you know, when you start an internship, you're almost mentored, but not quite mentored, but there's people around you that are senior and are there to help give you advice and you can learn from them. I mean, I don't know which industry you've specifically been involved in, but like, what have you noticed from those people? What are the things that you've taken from them and how they've got to where they are?
Yeah. The one I did in London was was quite good. That was someone running their own sell side advisory firm. They'd been in the industry and they just got tired of it. They wanted to do their own thing. And just seeing them, they actually did their own thing. It's not impossible. It's not some kind of far out abstract thing. You can just do your own thing. You can run your own business. You just need a few clients, do some advisory work, run a process, and you can make that work, which was really good to see. And then the other guy was in Dubai. He just ran a kind of remote business across the whole world. That was pretty cool. And he was flying about, going lots of different places to different conferences. So just seeing what was possible, and it is possible to go after it and achieve that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the coolest things when you're surrounded by people of that level is just seeing how they operate, learning directly from them, figuring out what path they went on. And so I guess that leads me to, you've met a lot of people that have potentially gone on a trajectory that you want to go on to. You've seen mistakes that people are making at your level when they're not necessarily setting themselves up for that trajectory. What's your plan? So, like, there's probably a lot of other students out there as well that have internships and they've done some, they've got a couple under their belt, they know where they want to head. What is it that you plan to do this next year or two of university to just continue to win almost?
Yeah, so I've noticed with the kind of companies that I want to be going after, they are smaller companies. I feel like I have more ability to learn more and get closer with the people that are doing the work, the founders, and build the skills and really learn and absorb. And I want to go in person with them because as I said, I've done the emailing, I've done the calling. They're only in London. It's not difficult to get to. Just, chuck a suit on, take a train down, spend a day there, go to like 5 companies that I've got on a shortlist. And instead of blasting hundreds of companies, which is what I did last year with emails, I make it super tailored, really personal, put loads of effort into those small few, then follow up, have some interviews, and I think that would be really useful. And they're doing super interesting work. I don't know if you know Off Deal. Off
No.
Deal. It's that one's in America, but there are a few companies in the UK that are doing similar things where it's AI investment banking. So they take the work of analysts, give it to AI agents, and it means that you can now economically run sell side deals for small and medium businesses. It's really interesting, and I think there's a lot of potential in that. And I'm going to be reaching out to some of those companies, and for this summer. And if I don't get anything, then I've got a few ideas. Either continue this intern outreach and see where I can take that, make loads of content for that. But I think using a company as like a boot camp, a training ground, really learning as much as I can, giving myself to that would be ideal, really.
Great. And what is it then? So you mentioned then that it's just being a bit closer in proximity wise to people who make decisions, I guess. What else is it that attracts you to a smaller firm or a smaller company?
I think the is the learning. I did want to go at a bigger firm, and if I got an offer, the thing that a bigger firm gives you is the credibility. It's like that is the stamp of approval. They're like, yeah, they've given their thumbs up on you. Reflecting is probably just the status, the money, the prestige, and the actual work you'd be doing. Would that help you with skills that would allow you to create value and make money long term? Would it just be making slides, adjusting numbers, or would it be more agency, more responsibility that you'd get at a smaller firm, which is really enabling you to become the type of person that then long term can make far more money than you would just making 100K as an analyst.
It's interesting because it's such a mature point of view, right? Like, I was talking to a guy yesterday about how his name's Jerry Brazzi. He's ran a bunch of businesses in the US, like done 500 million in revenue. And I said, what do you think about people who are just graduating and want to go and get money? And he's like, it's not a bad option. Like, it's quite a smart move. But you want to think about longitudinally, what is the thing that's going to give you the most access to developing skills and proximity to the people that make the decisions that will help you win. And so it's very hard though as a young person to like notice that almost. Even when I got into my first role, all I was thinking about is how much money can I make here until someone told me you should just be thinking about how much you can learn here.
Mm.
And so I think that's a tough one for young people to break out of, but I think you put it perfectly there. It's just thinking about where it is you want to be. And it's probably not just working for someone else forever. And the best way to do that is just maximize your learning capacity. So that's fun. That's cool. Okay. And I guess the way that I want to head off directionally now is talking a little bit more about internships, because there's such a problem at the moment in the like at 1 in 2 students are getting zero offers. Like they're not getting one. Is that the correct stat? I think it's like 51%, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's about that.
And so if you had to lay out almost a trajectory, like a plan for someone in first year who's just spent their first year just like lazing around and done nothing, what would your sort of like step by step checkbox be if you could do one?
I always say it's good to think about what you want and to make sure that you're not then running in the wrong direction. So if you want to go into like nursing, you probably don't need an internship at an accountant's. So really think about what you want. And if you want to do law, for example, if someone wants to do law, okay, then if you haven't done anything in first year, then you're not going to get a magic circle vacation scheme. Just like there's just no way, unless you're Cambridge and your dad's a partner, for example. Like you're just not getting that. But you can still practice law. You can still learn and probably go to a smaller company, have more agency over what you're doing, getting closer to cases and learning how to act like a partner because you're much closer to them. You're not separated by loads of degrees. And again, reach out to smaller companies because they're the people that will take you. The bigger companies will not take you, so you have no other option really. And I think going in person is better than email, um, unless you're some crazy kind of circumstance that means you can't do that. Going in person is the highest signal. What's more enthusiastic and confident than going in person? And so I would do that with your CV, introduce yourself, get an email, follow up, get on a phone call, and then explain that you want to help over the summer. Do that with 20 companies and you'll get something. And then go into that with an open mind, learn as much as you can, and think at the end of it, well, where do I want to go from here?
Yeah, and obviously the year just started. I think the first week after the year starting, for people watching, the first week just ended. We're in the second week of 2026. Is when most people stop their goals, and for a lot of young people, their goal this year will be like A, either get a job or B, get an internship, a spring week, whatever the alternative is that they've set their sights on almost. And so, I mean, do you think that good advice for that person is to focus on just racking up quantity, or do you think they need to focus more on quality? Like, what's your viewpoint on that debate of just hit as many as possible or hit as little as possible, but high quality in your approach?
With with traditional applications through a portal, there is only so much quality you can do with what you can communicate through a cover letter. And if your grades aren't there, for example, you have to enter your grades. They will just auto reject you. So it's like doesn't really matter much. Whereas when you go in person to a company, they're not going to ask you your grades on the door, and you have a chance to introduce yourself, humanize yourself, and communicate a bit more. So when it's quality or quantity, I think if you've been applying all the way from September until now, and you've done hundreds of applications, and you haven't got anything, no interviews at all, then you would really need to check on what you've been doing, where your CV's at, how you're coming across written wise, and have a reflect on that. And I don't think more quantity is the answer. Again, take a different look at your approach, do something else. But with what you do at RecruitGrads, do you find you help people get a path, or is it you help people once they already have a direction, or can you help people find what they want?
Yeah, so our goal has mostly been helping when they have a direction. So the place that we sit at the moment as a company is like more of an engagement tool for employers and recruitment teams and early talent, so that once students know what they want to do, they can get feedback about how effective they could be in terms of the skill set that they currently have. And so we're totally focused on just helping students develop those high performance skills. And I think one of them that plays so big into this, and we don't even count it as a high performance skill, but I think it's almost a necessity in this game of learning how to land a job where CVs exist, interviews exist, all these different things, is actually like learning how to sell yourself and be a good salesman effectively. And so like, have you reflected much upon or spent much time learning the art of almost sales in order to get better at this stuff?
Yes, been trying to. And especially with the sales calls I've been doing for the thing I've been running myself, I've noticed they've been going better, and recording them and reflecting on them and watching them back as to what worked. And I think well with the internships I did last year, I did a lot of interviews for them. I got pretty good at doing them because they're all basically one the same, and I've done so many that I just didn't care about the outcome. So having that having not reserve, but having that step back, you're not so emotionally invested that you get worried about what they think about you, that you just in a flow state, you can just talk, answer questions with ease. And that's a really great attitude to have, especially in an interview. And you almost end up selling yourself because you're just confident in your delivery, everything you say just lands well. And the person receives that as, okay, they know what they're doing. And ultimately is very helpful for getting that interview, that job. Your mic's muted.
Luke, I think there's sort of a lot of hard truths and things in your background and the story that you've gone on, such that a lot of it is just so relevant to everyday life. It's like, embrace rejection, start failing and then fail some more and like learn to love it, learn how to sell yourself effectively, learn how to pick up the phone and just call someone. And I think all of this stuff, whilst it's super relevant for cold outreach and landing internships, it's the kind of stuff and agency that when you then first land a job, you're the person who stays after hours and chats to the boss about solving XYZ problem because you had a thought about it. And so my point relating back to all of this is that it's really just a lot of agency that I think you've demonstrated, and that really is your message to a lot of people, is just to be more proactive, learn how to develop a high agency mentality, and just get out there and start getting reps and fail. Otherwise, like, you'll probably be pretty miserable. Would you agree with
Mm.
most of that?
Yeah, I think being being too comfortable is pretty terrible. I know it says so much. I'm sure you've heard it countless times. But again, being comfortable will make you more miserable in the end than failing repeatedly. Because at least when you're failing, you're at least working towards something. You've got some goal. Because if you failed, it means you haven't hit a goal. So at least you've kind of set something to work towards. And I found that's more fulfilling than just laying in comfort, and makes me feel ill if I do that for too long.
I agree. Well, look, I think we've hit a lot of the key points that I wanted to cover with you today. So we'll finish up with the question we ask every guest, except we're going to tailor it a little bit. All the guests we've had on so far, by the way, Luca, are like 50 plus. And so the normal question we ask is, if you were 18 again, what skill would you prioritize developing
I was
first?
going to say that was only last year. I was
Exactly.
like, yeah,
So we're going to tailor it. Not loads, but if we're going to do it a bit differently. If you were at, you at 16 again, so 3 years ago, is that?
yeah,
And, you were thinking, you knew what you knew now, for instance, what skill would you prioritize developing first? If you had to pick one thing to get great at, a specific skill to start developing, what would it be?
yeah. Getting myself in better rooms for sure. The people I was hanging around with are not the people that I would tell my younger self to hang around with, and it would just be start earlier, start ringing up companies getting myself in those places, either just or DMing startup founders on LinkedIn, because when you're younger, they respect it more. If you're 16, DMing, emailing someone for an opportunity, that puts you stronger than someone that's 25 doing it, because the fact you're younger is again, it's signaling you're just different, which is a great advantage. So just getting myself in better rooms.
Get in better rooms, and it's a skill to be able to turn away the rooms that you shouldn't be spending your time in, and saying
Mm.
yes to different rooms and meeting people in different rooms and becoming the kind of person that the people in the rooms you want to be in wants to meet. So I think there's a lot of tales in there. And so we're going to leave it there today, Luke. It's been awesome chatting to you. It's been a great podcast. I think you shared a lot of knowledge that people can quickly act on, and see a pathway for themselves to do something pretty quickly that's going to make a difference in their lives, whether they're 16 or 25. So yeah, that's it. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you. It's been great.